Let's go. All righty. Good evening, everyone. Welcome for those that are in attendance and those that are watching us live stream. We got a lot on the agenda tonight, a lot of great discussions. So let's just get it going, and I'm going to call the meeting to order. Please rise for an invocation from Pastor Zach Kelly, and please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
All right, if you will bow your heads. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you tonight that we get together for the purpose of being a part of our community. You have placed us in the town of Hope Mills with purpose and reason. We thank you for our governing officials, how your word says that we are to submit to governing authorities because they serve us. And we just pray tonight that as decisions are discussed, that you would give us wisdom, unity in this room, that we would hear, that we would listen, that we would walk together hand in hand, and that we would do your work on the earth. We pray that you would guide this meeting. In your name we pray. Amen.
Approval of the agenda. Do we have any additions or deletions?
Motion to approve the agenda is written.
Second.
Have a motion, have a second. All in favor? Seeing none opposed, motion carries. We'll go right into official comments. Manager's report.
All right. Thank you, Mayor, board members, and to everybody in the audience and everyone listening or tuning in from our live stream. Opening day for Hope Mills Youth Basketball was a success. As usual, a ton of parents and kids were out to celebrate the beginning of the new season. The Hive of Hope Mills is officially open. That is one of the major additions to the town on the backside of our park. I'm looking forward to supporting this anchor in our community. The Gun Violence Awareness Walk, the Tau Epsilon Zeta chapter of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated has set their annual Gun Violence Awareness Walk for Saturday, June the 6th, 2026 here at Municipal Park. We're asking people to come out and support this event that brings awareness to an important issue in our community. The Kiwanis Club Barbecue, the Hope Mills Kiwanis Club will be having an annual barbecue fundraiser right here at the John W. Hodges Public Safety Center on this Friday, the 24th, from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. And I'm committing to purchasing some barbecue plates because Grilly's going to beat me up if I don't. But seriously, I am asking staff to support this fundraising event for the Kiwanis by purchasing a barbecue plate. It'll be right next door. Juneteenth Liberty and Legacy celebration, we have an announcement. We have officially decided to move it to the Hive at Hope Mills. It's set for June 20th, 2026. And so we're partnering with them this year. I think we're already full of food truck vendors and almost full with vendors in general. The Hope Mills PD Bike Rodeo is set for May 23rd, 2026. Police Department is currently taking up donations for child helmets, bike air pumps, accessories like horns and bells, and bikes suitable for children. And so it's something that they do every single year, and it's something that's very, very well attended by our kids. In terms of staff updates, just a quick update on the current status of our current grants that we have in submission through the NLC MAS program. Infrastructure updates. The town was awarded with a FAMPO grant for $55,000. It's been awarded a few years ago, but Public Works is gearing up to begin the project. It stretches from South Main to Hope Mills Middle School, and that's something that we continue our partnership with FAMPO, but that's to provide sidewalks on the same side of that elementary or that middle school. Legion Road repairs to the bridge have concluded and it has been reopened, but I do have to make an announcement you've probably seen the signs. The town was just notified today about it, but Golfview and Rockfish Road will experience some closures on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday next week. Golfview will be closed from Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, and Rockfish will be closed on Wednesday. The time frame is from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. We're working to get a map probably posted in the morning to show people any detour routes. But I did want to mention that it did come to us this morning, but it was after the manager's report was concluded. Parks and Recreation page, spring community yard sale, trucks and stuff. I mean, this is prime season for our Parks and Rec department. In terms of Chamber of Commerce, the next Chamber of Business breakfast is April 28th at 8:30 a.m. at Harmony at Hope Mills, and that does conclude the manager's report for the April 20th, 2026 Board of Commissioners meeting. Thank you.
Thanks, Chancellor. As always, comprehensive. Let's go to board member comments. I'll start with, let's see, Commissioner Hamilton.
Thank you, Mayor. Thanks, everyone, for coming this evening. It's really nice to see all these faces. It looks like we have more people coming every week or every meeting that we have. Just want to mention what the town manager commented on, the Hive. That's a fantastic place. Those that haven't been there, you might want to check it out. There's lots of parking. It's a nice building. They serve food in there. And the opening day for the baseball, it was just amazing. That was my first one. And it was just amazing to see all the children that were out there playing ball. That's all I've got. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Mitchell.
Good evening. Thank you, everyone, for coming out tonight. It's great to see you all here. The Kiwanis Barbecue is all about the kids. It's all about the kids, everybody, and it teaches them to be future leaders of tomorrow. It goes a long way to help scholarships that we provide every year, school supplies that we provide for the teachers, social workers that has a need, and of course we support our fire department during Fire and Safety Week to buy the supplies that they need. So if you can, come out and support that program, and I can assure you, invest in our kids today is an investment of our future tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Marley.
Thanks, sir. Like everybody said, welcome. And I did want to give a shout out to Lamarco and his staff for a wonderful opening day. Lamarco, thank you. Make sure you thank your staff. They all worked hard.
Thank you. Commissioner Trimmel.
Good evening and welcome, everybody. And I just want to say again, opening day was amazing. I think there were 60 teams came out. I've not been to an opening day in many, many years, as our grandson is now 17 and haven't played in a while. And I could not believe how many children were out there. It was wonderful to see. And if you haven't been to the Hive, go. It's an amazing place. I'm an ice cream connoisseur. Go have ice cream. It's amazing there. And also, just a quick housekeeping thing. I had been asked to be a liaison for the chamber, and I am asking that the board allow me to step down from that position, as I am very busy between the two committees I already have. And I think that we need to discuss that at some future time on the agenda to see if we need a liaison to that committee.
Okay. Thank you very much. Do we accept?
I'll make the motion to accept that.
We accept. Motion. Second. Second. All in favor? See none opposed. Thank you for volunteering, and thank you for the candor to continue to stay involved with Parks and Rec and the Appearance Commission. Okay, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everyone. It's beautiful to see everybody out here in the audience, as well as those that are streaming. I piggyback the comments from my fellow board members. Opening day was great. I am not an outdoors person, but I enjoyed that. The Hive is also a very nice place. We did go later that evening from the ribbon cutting and did enjoy some of the live music. And again, if you have not had a chance, please go check it out. And that's all I have.
Thank you. The Hive is the buzz in Hope Mills. I cannot echo it enough. If you haven't been to the Hive, take time to go. Got some live music down there this past week. I understand some more live music's coming with some jazz. Opening day, again, another home run for our 60-plus teams that had opening day for games. And if you notice, for those of you that attended or watched, there was a young girl that was singing during opening day. Well, you know, she's here with us tonight. She's sitting right here, Miss North Carolina, Kinley Milligan. And this was her second year in a row that she was part of opening day. So, and we welcome her tonight as we will talk about the proclamation recognizing Young Readers Day. Chancellor, I'm glad you brought up about the road closures. Here's what I hear, and I hear a lot of things. Folks are okay with the widening projects. Everybody's got the widening projects. What folks are not okay with is the lack of advance notice. And I agree with them. One example is Main Street, the way it was backed up for that one lane for days. Now, somehow, I'm not going to defend DOT, but we have nothing to do with DOT and the closures. But what I do want is advance notice. So folks can plan when Rockfish is closed. That is a major intersection and a traffic road for a lot of people on Gulfview. So whatever advance notice, Chancellor, we can get, and then push this out every opportunity that we can.
We did, Public Works is the main point of contact for the Gulfview Rockfish project. And so we were surprised to get a notification today for Monday. And so we typically do get advance notice so much in advance that it allows me to put a map together and the press releases and the whole nine. And for some reason, we still actually, we just found out today. And so Don and I are actually working with them to let them know that. Now, when we do talk to them about this project, we will tell them to just give us notice on all roadways and Hope Mills. And so even though Don and Bruce are not the point of contacts for the Main Street, we'll just tell them any projects that you have in Hope Mills, whether it's Camden, Main Street, Fisher. That's another thing people have to understand, that there are 4 major roadway projects going on in Hope Mills at the same time. Even though we're only the point of contact for 2 of them, I will request to get advance notice on any closures on any of them. And so that is something we actually, Don did send out an email earlier today about the lack of notice that we got for the one today. So that we are on it. Completely understand the frustrations with the general public.
Yep, there's a lot of frustration, especially with parents trying to get kids to school and then trying to get to work themselves with the lack of notice. So just a touch point. The other thing, in our agenda tonight, you're going to see some policies. That's under new business item A. For those folks that have been interested in, I'm just going to say it, that's been interested in an audit about the town, this is kind of, these policies are in support of that. And I'm glad to see that they're on the agenda tonight for board approval, because that was something that was asked back in August when the state auditor first wanted to have some emails and some policies returned. So the town staff has worked very diligently and hard and thorough to get these policies that are on the agenda tonight for board consideration and approval. And it's just the start point as the town waits for the final report. That's all I have. I'm going to move into presentations. Item A, proclamation recognizing Young Readers Day, and that's under tab 1. The Town of Hope Mills Proclamation Young Readers Day. Whereas reading is a foundational skill that supports academic success, creativity, develops social and emotional intelligence, and encourages lifelong learning for children, and whereas all children should be encouraged to read so they can explore new stories and find books they love. And whereas helping children become strong readers is important to their future success in school and in life. And whereas Kinley Milligan, a 6th grade student and founder of Kinley's Reading Club, has worked to encourage young readers across the state of North Carolina to discover the love of reading, and whereas through public speaking activities, reading in classrooms, and helping place thousands of books into hands of children, Kinley's Reading Club promotes the importance of reading for fun, and whereas youth leadership and community service initiatives such as Kinley's Reading Club inspire others across North Carolina to support literacy and help ensure more children have access to books and educational opportunities so they can explore new stories and find books they love. Now, therefore, I, Jesse Bellflowers, Mayor of Hope Mills, do hereby proclaim May 7th as Young Readers Day in the town of Hope Mills and encourage all residents, schools, families, and community organizations to support literacy efforts and help children across our community discover the love of reading. In witness thereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the town of Hope Mills to be affixed this 20th day of April 2026. Kenley, would you like to come up to the mic? And Mom, if you want to come up and do the recording, you can do that.
Good evening. My name is Kinley Milligan, and I am America's Ideal Miss North Carolina Preteen and a 6th grader at Grays Creek Middle School and also the founder of Kinley's Reading Club. I am so excited to be here today as we celebrate something so important to me, reading, and the recognition of May 7th as Young Readers Day. I started Kinley's Reading Club for a simple reason. Every child deserves the chance to fall in love with reading, but the truth is, not every child does, not because they don't want to, but because they don't always have access to books, encouragement, or the right book in their hands. Right now, only 32% of 4th graders are reading nationally at a proficient level, and only 1 in 4 kids read for fun daily every single day. That's not just a statistic, it's a call to action. Through Kinley's Reading Club, I have the chance to read in classrooms, meet students from different schools, and help collect and donate thousands of books to children in our community. And one thing that always stands out to me, some kids have shelves full of books that they never open because they just haven't found the right kind of book yet. And some kids would love a book, but they don't have one at all. That is the gap that we have to close because access matters, exposure matters, and encouragement matters. Books didn't just teach me how to read, they showed me bravery, kindness, and how to stand up for others. Every child deserves that because when a child struggles to read, it can affect their ability to connect with others, their classroom experience, and even how they see themselves. It can make them feel frustrated. It can make them feel left behind. And sometimes it can make it harder for them to express themselves or build a relationship. But when a child finds a book they love, everything can change. Because when kids read, they don't just become better students, they become more confident. They begin to understand that their voice matters. They become stronger leaders, and they begin to believe in themselves. That's why reading matters. That's why this day matters. Young Readers Day is more than just a date on the calendar. It's a reminder for all of us to keep showing up, to keep giving back, and to make sure every child has the opportunity to find the power of a book. Because books should be a promise, not a privilege. So today, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for recognizing Young Readers Day and your commitment to literacy. And I would like to personally thank Mayor Bellflower and the Hope Mills Board of Commissioners for believing in my mission and for taking the time to recognize something that means so much to me, to so many children, and to the future of our community. Your support shows that reading matters and that kids like me can make a difference. Together, we will continue to make a difference. One child, one book, and one future at a time. Thank you.
Thank you, Kinley. I have an armband that I'm going to put on, and it says Kinley's Reading Club for the love of reading. And if you don't read books, I read books. I've read books for quite some years. I'm reading now. In fact, I was reading today. I encourage you to pick up a book on May 7th and read it, and I'm going to come.
Town of Hope Mills declaring April 22nd, 2026 as Administrative Professionals Day. Whereas administrative professionals play an essential role in coordinating the office operations of businesses, nonprofits, government, educational institutions, and other organizations. And whereas the work of administrative professionals today requires advanced knowledge and expertise in communications, computer software, office technology, project management, organizations, customer service, and other vital office management responsibilities, and most importantly, have the willingness to learn and accept new challenges. And whereas administrative professionals are vital contributors in today's team-oriented work environment and are key frontline public relations ambassadors for their organizations. And whereas Administrative Professionals Day is observed annually in workplaces around the world to recognize the important contributions of administrative support staff, and is sponsored by the International Association of Administrative Professionals. And whereas Administrative Professionals Day serves as a time to salute the valuable contributions of administrative professionals in the town of Hope Mills and to recognize the singular importance of their work in accomplishing the mission and vision of their place of work. And
now, therefore, I, Jesse Bellflowers, Mayor of the Town of Hope Mills, proclaim April 22nd, 2026 as Administrative Professionals Day in Hope Mills, North Carolina, and encourage all residents to recognize and appreciate their administrative support. Proclaim this 20th day of April 2026. I will tell you, none of us would be successful in what we do if we didn't have a dedicated administrative professional staff. And we do. We're fortunate that we do here in this town. Item C, proclamation recognizing Earth Day, and that's under tab 3.
Earth Day proclamation. Whereas on April 22nd, 1970, 20 million Americans, 10% of the U.S. population at the time, took to the streets, college campuses, and hundreds of cities to protest environmental ignorance and demand a new way forward for our planet. The first Earth Day is credited with launching the modern environmental movement and is now recognized as the planet's largest civil event. And whereas the theme for Earth Day 2026 is Our Power, Our Planet, scientists, non-governmental organizations, business, and governments worldwide now are looking at natural system processes and emerging green technologies to restore the world's ecosystems and forests, conserve and rebuild soils, improve farming practices, restore wildlife populations, and rid the world's oceans of plastics. And whereas, while the world waits for global political and business leaders to take decisive action to reduce carbon emissions, natural processes including reforestation and soil conservation can restore massive amounts of carbon while restoring biodiversity, clean water and air, and rebalancing ecological systems. Restoration is pragmatic and necessary to reduce climate change.
Now, therefore, I, Jesse Bellflowers, Mayor of the Town of Hope Mills, North Carolina, do hereby proclaim April 22nd, 2026, Earth Day in the Town of Hope Mills, and urge all to use this time to celebrate our only planet and commit to building a sustainable green economy. Proclaim this 20th day of April 2026. Thank you very much for reading both proclamations. Our next item is item D, PY26 Annual Action Plan. Yep. Cumberland County, Christy Rich, and that's under tab 4. Welcome.
Hi, and good evening. Thank you very much for taking a moment to listen to me to discuss our programs, because community development works best when it is shaped not just by plans and funding, but by the people and communities those investments are intended to serve. Each year, Cumberland County Community Development prepares an annual action plan, which serves as our roadmap for how we propose to use federal housing and community development funds in the upcoming program year. Our draft of the annual action plan was published on March 20th, and it was available for public comment for a 30-day period, which actually ended today. A copy of the draft is available on the county website, and it was also distributed to each municipality for review. Let me see. So we have two main funding sources, two main grants that we get our funding through HUD for, which is the Community Development Block Grant, which is also known as CDBG, and the Home Investment Partnership Program, also known as HOME. In order for us to use these funds, every project has to meet at least one national objective. That means the activity must primarily benefit low and moderate income persons, help eliminate slum and blight, or meet an urgent need such as disaster recovery or emergency community response. These funds are meant to help us invest in people, neighborhoods, and community stability where the need is greatest. A few of our programs, we have our housing programs, which include the Housing Rehabilitation Program, which is for owner-occupied homeowners. The program helps eligible homeowners make needed repairs to their homes so they can remain in safe and decent housing. The work can include anywhere from roofs, HVAC, plumbing, electrical, accessibility improvements, structural repair. It can be energy efficient, just an array of different things. We generally offer that program in two different levels. Our minor housing repair program, which is in a form of a grant that goes up to $30,000. And the other one is the housing rehab loan program, which is in the form of a deferred forgivable loan, and that's for homes that need more significant repairs done to them. And as long as the homeowner does meet the criteria every year, which is to stay in their home for the duration of the time frame, then it remains a deferred forgivable loan and nobody pays anything back from that. We also have our rental rehabilitation program, which is investors to assist with affordable rental housing for elderly residents, people with disabilities, individuals experiencing homelessness, or large families, for them to also be low to moderate income. We also have our home buyers program, and that will help eligible households with down payment assistance and gap financing for the eligible applicants. Let's see, we have our affordable housing. The affordable housing includes support for new housing construction. Together, these programs help us preserve housing, improve living conditions, and create pathways to homeownership and long-term housing stability for residents in Cumberland County. Our public services include services for the unhoused and homeless, job skills training, and health services. Public facilities and infrastructures, those projects include water and sewer improvements, acquisitions, construction or rehabilitation of nonprofit facilities, and other community improvements. In recent years, we've been able to support projects such as community centers and water and sewer improvements. So for the municipality project highlights for Hope Mills for this year, we have finished and put in $213,000, but that number is higher. It's over $336,000. We had two projects going that were about 50% done, and that's for our housing rehab program that we put that money into. So community development is involved in a wide range of work, from repairing homes to supporting renters and home buyers to providing public services to funding infrastructure and community projects. And while the names of the grants may sound technical, the goal is simple: investing in our community, strengthening our neighborhoods, and improve quality of life across Cumberland County. Thank you very much.
Wow. Well, this is a comprehensive annual action plan. I'm gonna hold it up so everybody can see how thick it is. And it's a program year, 2026, starting June 1, 2026 through July 30th, 2027. Will this be available for the public to see on the Cumberland County website? Okay. I just wanted to highlight that because it's a ton of information that's in here. Like I said, it's very comprehensive, and there's been a lot of hard work that's been put into this and a lot of care and research.
Awesome plan, very detailed. But as I was going down looking at it, homelessness, it's got to be something in there that prevents homelessness. Got to catch it on that end before, case in point, there's a lot of seniors that are really struggling that's on fixed income. And they will soon, matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, based on research I've done, they're at risk of being the #1 most homeless category in the nation now because they cannot afford the amplification or escalation of inflation. And so there's probably got to be some system in place to reach them before they get there. And I think the action plan there should be something that you look at. And make, for the special needs individuals, a little bit more easier for them to get in those programs where they can get homes, because a large percentage of those individuals out there are special need individuals that have never had the support system in place to help them from getting there. That's all I have. Thank you, Mayor.
Any other comments from the board? Okay.
Thank you, Mayor. Are you the organization that furnishes homes for homeless people? I had a lady call me from Fayetteville, and she was struggling. She was homeless. She was into an apartment. She didn't have a bed or a mattress. So I called Dr. Harris over. I actually emailed her and then called her, and she found that she has an organization there that actually furnishes homes for the homeless people. If they need utensils, if they need like a stove or a refrigerator, whatever, she takes care of that.
I'm waiting for clarification on your answer.
I wasn't aware that they did that, and I was pleasantly surprised with that.
Do you mind, Mayor Bellflowers? I'm sorry. Good evening. My name is Rayshana Manuel, and
Go
I'm
right
the Director
ahead.
for Community Development. And this is Christy Rich. She actually runs our housing program, so she does the applications for us. And tonight was her first night presenting for commissioners. Did a good job, ma'am. So the question you're asking for Dr. Harris, she is the president of our COC, our Continuum of Care.
Right.
And there are organizations that could possibly help with getting mattresses or supplies for the homeless. Those she would need to contact the coordinated entry. And that person will need to call, and what coordinated entry is the county's repository for assistance. And they call that number, and then whatever organization in the community that has funding or has resources, they're referred out, and one of those organizations may pick them up. We do not do direct assistance. We get our referrals from our coordinated entry program, and then if we can help, we can. We do have a program that does assist. It's called Robbins Meadow, where we have 12 units for transitional housing that the county does manage. But we do have other partners in the area that may have those resources available. And Commissioner Mitchell, I was going to answer your question as well when you asked. No, the action plan does not address the seniors, but I've heard that a lot in our travels this action plan cycle with our municipalities, and I have asked staff to do some research to see if we can create a program for the seniors. I don't know how it's going to go, sir. Please don't hold me to it, but we want to look into it and see if we can do it. But if we have any seniors that do need assistance, they can also call coordinated entry as well and get on the list to have services.
Some action is better than no action.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Okay. We thank you very much, Christy. You did well for your first time.
Thank you.
Very well. Next item is item E, ADA Transition Plan Update, and that's under tab 5, and I think it's on the screen too. Bruce, welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor, Board of Commissioners. Those of you that don't know me, my name is Bruce Clark. I'm the Deputy Director of Public Works, and I'm also one of the ADA Transition Coordinators for the town. I don't want to take up a whole lot of your time tonight, but we've been trying for a while to get on your docket to just give you an update, and especially for some of the new members to give you a familiarization of exactly what the ADA transition program is, or the plan is. I think everybody's familiar with the Americans with Disabilities Act. It was enacted in 1990, and it specifically, it's a civil rights statute that specifically talks about and prohibits the discrimination against people with disabilities. There's 5 separate titles. You can see them listed there. Title II is the title that specifically addresses public entities. Why must we develop an ADA transition plan? Well, the ADA, Title II of the ADA Act mandates that any public entity over 50 employees must have an ADA transition plan in effect. The majority of our town facilities are built today to the ADA standard, obviously, but there are a lot of barriers that exist that need to be retroactively identified and then addressed, and we have to have that plan in place with our plan for taking care of those things. This is just a timeline of the ADA transition plan from inception to today, and the biggest takeaway from this is that it started as a one-time compliance document. Hey, all you entities need to do this, to now it's a living infrastructure management tool where we use today's GIS-based products and integrate into the CIP for funding so that we can show that we are complying and doing the best that we can to take care. And it's now from being that one compliance document, now it directly ties to street projects, sidewalks, capital budgeting, and to risk management. The process includes a self-evaluation that we can now talk about that a little bit in more detail, but a self-evaluation that we conducted of all of our facilities. And that helped us to develop this plan and to appoint ADA transition coordinators. And currently, it's myself, Dawn Cisco, and the town manager as are appointed as the coordinators, and to establish a grievance process. So that's a procedure where the public or anybody can use a formal process for letting us know if there is something that needs to be addressed. The plan in itself outlines just that. It's our plan. We take the guidelines and we look at the physical barriers and we develop methods to remove them, and then we also need to identify folks and entities that are responsible for those removals. That way, it's got a structured plan going forward, and we're not just saying we're going to do it. We're actually doing it. The current federal expectations. The Department of Justice enforces ADA compliance through the states, trickles down to us. And one thing that was made very clear to us in the early stages of our plan by the North Carolina DOJ is that a plan sitting on the shelf is not compliancy. Steps to become compliant must be shown and the progress must be documented. And that's why I wanted to iterate that this plan is living, it's working, and it's a constant process. The self-evaluation process, that process took us about a year, and what we did was we went into every facility, our parks, everything that we own that the public has access to, and we made assessments using the ADA design standards of 2010 as our guidelines, and where we had to answer 3 core questions when we did our self-evaluation, and that is, what do we have in our inventory? Because when we start, we have parks. We have Herring Park, and we have Brower Park, and we have the Lake Park, and we have all these parks. Those are all ADA, all public accessible, so they have to have ADA compliancy. and what's not compliant. So we had to identify what we had, and then we had to identify what wasn't compliant and what those barriers were. And then we had to prioritize. We had to look at each one of them and then try to prioritize what we needed to fix first. And that's what we've done over the years of this program. And this was our timeline. So we started the process in February of 2019. I came on board in June of 2019, and Dawn said, here, this is yours. So here I am. But again, we had a public survey period. I think really you remember that. We sat down with the veterans groups, and we sat down with a lot of seniors and folks that either knew folks that had disabilities or had disabilities themselves and took input. We conducted our self-evaluations, as I just talked about, and then we held a public meeting. These are all parts of the process that are mandated. And then after everything, we had actually Stewart Engineering was the name of a consultant that we used to help us put this all together. And then they put it together, and then we brought it before the board at that time in 2020, and it was adopted. Anyone can find our ADA transition plan. It is from the community tab on the front page of our website. You can get to it from the community section. It's just outlined as the ADA transition plan. And transition plan updates. So at the end of each fiscal year, we publish an update. And we list what we achieved in that fiscal year and what is projected in the next fiscal year. And you can find, and that's kind of sort of the outline there. But those are also listed there in the ADA transition plan on the website, so anybody can find that information as well. So currently, next fiscal year and going forward, in the last, I think 2 board meetings ago, y'all approved funding for a conditions survey for our sidewalks. When we originally did our ADA plan, when they did the right-of-way, they focused on the wheelchair ramps and the accessibility ramps. And if anybody who's driven around town has seen that almost all the intersections now have new ADA accessible ramps. And DOT did a lot of that. DOT is responsible for their ramps within the town, but we're responsible for the sidewalks. And I don't know if y'all know this, but we have almost 7 miles of sidewalks within the towns. A lot of those are on DOT roads, but we're responsible for the sidewalks. They don't maintain sidewalks. And then we have a lot of our newer communities, and some of the little bit of our older communities have sidewalks as well. We just worked on sidewalks over in your neighborhood as well, putting in over there in Southampton, Westhampton, putting in the ADA ramps over there as well. So that's what we're focusing on now. We're going to use that. It'll take about 6 months to do that survey, because what they do is this is a trip hazard survey. So they'll actually walk and use their tools to measure slope and look for any trip hazard. Anything over 1/4 inch is considered a trip hazard. I don't know if you've walked around here and you've seen some of the new where they've done some grinding out here, but we already did our facilities in here a couple of months ago, all of our facilities. And what they did was they went out and they were able to get rid of a lot of our trip hazards, and that's what we're getting ready to do in the row. So that's in this fiscal year's budget. The next fiscal year's budget, with the new budget that's being presented to y'all, we'll have funding in there for repairs that we'll be able to conduct after they finish that survey. So with that, subject to any questions. I didn't realize I was going to follow so many great.
Board have any questions?
I don't have a question, I have a statement. I don't thank you so very much for the work that you have done and put in getting us ADA compliant. And I know y'all was tired of me about our daily corner over there by the cleaners, over there by IGA.
That was bad for a long time.
And I know they got every year I was beating them up about it. But the day they got it fixed, they said, Grilly, guess what? They finally got it done. I mean, I was so afraid that somebody's going to be in a wheelchair one day, hit that hole and fall out in the highway and get killed.
Well, we were pleasantly surprised when I started researching those spots there on all the way up and down Main Street there. I did not know, because we maintain sidewalks.
Right.
I did not know that DOT was mandated to do the ramps.
Yes.
We were pleasantly surprised, because that was an expensive project.
Well, y'all kept telling me, DOT, I said, it's taking DOT forever and a day. And I also want to thank y'all so very much for what y'all did out at the Veterans Park. That
was one of the first ones we did.
yes, that's larger due to you. And you kept telling me, we working on it, Grilly. Sometimes we're impatient.
I'm a veteran.
But I got tired of those wheelchairs sinking in the dirt. So thank you so very much.
I do have a question, Mayor.
Okay?
Out in my area, I saw some guys out there working, and I stopped and talked to them, and they said that they were building something for the people that are blind on the corners. Was that
Yeah,
DOD? Was that DOD or was that the town?
No, it was us.
Okay.
It was a contractor that we use.
Okay.
And they were putting in the ADA compliant ramps, but they also have the
Like
the mats on them that they are detectable surfaces, so that they know that when they step on it or they hit it with their cane, they know they're about to enter a roadway.
Okay. Yeah, they had to dig up the whole thing and then come
Yep, they
back
had to
the
take the
next
whole
day
thing
and-
out because the mats are implanted into the concrete.
Right, okay, thank you.
Any other comments? If not, commissioners, get out your 3-ring hole puncher. Make sure that you find a place for this in your binder and come back to it. Before I move on to public hearings, I need to go back and touch on something. Was anybody out in the community on Saturday? Because I'm here to tell you, if you were out in the community on Saturday, you found a lot of people on the golf course. You found a tremendous amount of people at the lake, to include folks in the water. Now, I don't know how cold it is, but there was a lot of folks that I saw that was out there in the water. There was something else going on Saturday, too. We had community cleanup. Our staff was involved in recycling. I benefited from that, thank you. And hazardous waste. The feedback I got was thank you from people that dropped off or participated. What folks would like to see, and I don't know, Chancellor, I'm just going to throw it out there. I'm going to say it's mud on a wall. People like to see it more than twice a year. It is a huge community project. They'd like to see it more than twice. Now, I don't know if that means quarterly or
See your counterpart over there.
they'd like to see it more than twice.
I actually do like the optics. I remember one year we all took this corner as staff. I think we took I think the fire department took Goffey in front of public safety, and we took all the roads in this area. I think we did Bullet Street, Hill. I think we did a couple of them as staff. And so I think that was very well received. So if it's something, the pleasure of the board, you want us to increase those efforts, we can do that.
Well, we've got a couple budget workshops coming up in May. We'll pick one of them.
Okay, you're right.
And before I move on, Chancellor, those trucks are back at the golf course. There's 3 of them. See, 1 tractor, I think. Ron, is he still there? 2 trailers and a tractor? There's one? Yeah, they were back this way, back there on Sunday. Yeah.
Yeah, somebody sending a code enforcement ticket, so we're on it.
Yeah, okay. They were gone for a week.
Good luck with that.
Yeah. All right, item 4, public hearings. Item A, ZNG-001-26, initial zoning of 2.44 plus or minus acres to R7.5 residential district or more restrictive zoning for the undeveloped area located at 0 Round Stone Court, the empty lot at the northeast corner of Fairhaven Trail and Muscat Road, REID 0403-857-431-000, submitted by Larry King, an associate on behalf of Barnum Builders, Inc., owners under tab 6. Well, welcome, Emily.
Good evening. The Town of Hope Mills staff received a request to initially zone 2.44 acres of land to R75 residential. The property is currently zoned R10, which is the same as R7.5. It's just the old version. The subject property is adjacent to developed residential properties as well as undeveloped land. To the west of the subject property, you will find Sheffield Farm subdivision, while to the east, you will find undeveloped land, and south, you'll find single-family homes. Access will most likely be from Brickwood Court and Fairhaven Trail. Cumberland County Joint Planning Board voted unanimously to recommend approval to the Board of Commissioners during the regularly scheduled meeting in February 17th. Cumberland County Future Land Use Plan calls for low-density residential. This request does fall within the current guidelines of the Cumberland County Future Land Use Plan. This will give you an idea of location of the property. And this is just a general slide showing the applicant and owner versus the request to zone it R75 within the town. And as you can see, there is water and sewer available both on Muscat Road and Fairhaven Trail. And here's the current zoning, which is R10, and they are requesting to zone it R75, which is the same. This is the Cumberland County Future Land Use Plan, low-density residential. And then here's some photographs of the area. So, nice little quiet area. And I open the floor to you guys if you have any questions or move forward with the hearing.
Board have any questions before we open public hearing? None?
Motion to open the public hearing.
Second? All in favor? Seeing none opposed, public hearing's open. Is there anyone here that's opposed to ZNG-001-26 initial zoning? Is there anyone here that opposed ZNG-001-26 initial zoning? Is there anyone here that wants to speak in favor of ZNG-001-26 initial zoning? Anyone here that wants to speak in favor of ZNG-001-26 initial zoning? Motion.
Motion to close public hearing.
Second? Second. I have a motion, I have a second. All in favor? Public hearing's closed. Do we have an action?
Mayor, I make a motion that we approve the initial zoning request of R7.5 residential district as it is consistent with the 2025 Cumberland County Future Land Uses Plan, which calls for low-density residential. The proposed zoning is a strategic fit with the town's ongoing and future economic growth and development goals. It is also appropriate given the existing and anticipated nearby land uses, making the request both reasonable and beneficial to the public.
Second.
Have a motion, have a second. All in favor? Seeing none opposed, motion carries. Moving on. Item B, ZNG-002-26, request for site plan revision of previously approved site plans for 50.76 plus or minus acres on an empty lot located at 973 plus or minus feet from the southwestern intersection of Gulfview Road and Suchek Drive, REID 04144127276000. Submitted by GMR Capital LLC owners under tab 7. Continue on, Emily.
Town of Hope Mills staff received an application request for site plan revision on previously approved site plans for 50.76 acres of land. The subject property is adjacent to the Golf Acres subdivision, town property, which is also previously known as the golf course, and across the street from Eaglewood Forest subdivision. Access will only be from Gulfview Road. The changes requested to the previously approved site plans include changing the layout of the streets and buildings of the apartment buildings, resulting in less disturbed land, as well as making slight changes to the layout of the streets and buildings to have fewer individually owned townhomes. I believe the specific number is 18 less townhomes. We'll still adhere to the original conditions that were agreed upon, such as installing the 6-foot fence, privacy fence between the apartments and Gulf Acres subdivision, and installing the vegetative buffer between townhomes and the town property. Cumberland County Joint Planning Board voted unanimously to recommend approval to the Board of Commissioners during their regularly scheduled meeting on March 17th. Southwest Land Use Plan calls for low-density residential and open space. This request does fall within the current guidelines of Southwest Cumberland Land Use Plan. Also, the request complements the surrounding area, which is zoned P&D/R7.5 Planned Neighborhood Development, with adjacent properties also zoned residential. This is to give you an idea of the location of the property. And as you can see, they have just enough access to Gulfview Road to create the road itself. This is the plan that they have requested to change it to, and they want to build it in phases. So if you'll see on the right, it says phase 1, that's the apartments. To the left is phase 2 that they will build after, and that is the townhomes. And I do have, I think further down, some older plans. Well, you can see there's water and sewer nearby. The property is currently zoned R5 with conditional zoning, and the conditions include the buffering that was mentioned. And then I'm trying to, okay, this is the current plan that they want to move it to. This was the previously approved plan, and a quick summary includes, if for some reason the plan that they've requested to move to, which is this one, is denied, they can still move forward and build this one. And as you'll notice, this disturbs more property, and it has 18 more townhomes involved. The end result of the site plan that they want to move forward with is going to end with at least 14 acres of undisturbed property that will not be developed. Let's see here. So I'm going backwards on the evolution of this project a little bit, but here's some photographs of the location. You can see a little further past the sign is the entrance to the parking lot that you guys were talking about a moment ago with the tractor trailers. And here's the front of the property. This is directly across the street, single-family homes. And this is going toward 295. I guess I will open the floor for any questions and move forward.
I think there's going to be a number of questions, so I'll start with Mayor Pro Tem Hope.
Thank you, Mayor. I have a question. So the photo, is that the golf course, in front of the golf course, right there?
Wait, this?
Yeah. Is that down the line of the first?
If you're going toward 295, then the golf course is right after this property.
Jump back one. Right there, and another one, the first one. Isn't that the golf course entrance right there?
No, this is the entrance to the parking lot that is owned by Mr. George.
Private property.
So the golf, that's none of the golf course right there, just for my clarity.
No, it was previously the golf course, but it hasn't been, it's private property now.
What I'll point out is a lot of people don't know that if you look at that area on a map, the entire area out there isn't our golf course. The area where the trucks are, that's actually Mr. B.J. George's property. And then the 34 acres that this is adjacent to our golf course. So we have our 99-acre golf course, but there is 34 acres beside it that's not owned by the town. This group purchased that property from Mr. B.J. George and had it approved for a site plan, conditional zoning site plan a number of years ago. So when you're out there, it is confusing when you see the zoning sign. at the area in front of where the golf course is, but that concrete area is technically not the town-owned portion of our property. It's privately owned.
Oh, yep. There's, a little parking lot, I'm gonna say, guessing around here,
That's the golf.
that is owned by the town. And then the one that's further up, that's in the photograph is, let me see if is up here, on this side right here, where the, clubhouse used to be.
Okay, any other questions? I have a question. Oh, wait a minute, are you good? You got more? No, I'll come back. Okay.
Thank you, Mayor.
All right.
Emily, I just have one question. I know was it the initial plan they had that said that it would increase the traffic by 3,000 some trips? Is that going to cut down on the traffic by not?
Well, the comments that is on the current staff report is for the current plan. So I'm going off of memory here, but I believe the numbers were much higher whenever it was under the old plan.
Okay.
Yeah, they were.
Okay.
A lot higher.
Yeah, I just didn't know if that was, they left it there as when they did the initial request.
Yeah.
But this is the current request then, over 3,000 trips.
And I don't know if it shows on here or not. Let me go back. I'm not sure if it shows on here. Yeah, it does. Let me see if this pointer's a little testy. There is a turn lane that will be installed right here for right turn into the complex once it's completed. And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, DOT has a plan to also improve.
Yes. So ultimately, and I'd like to add an additional point of clarification. The actual amendment was triggered. If you look on that map, there's a easement for an outfall that's tied to the Garfield Road and Rockfish Road widening project. So this was not as a result of what the developers are doing. DOT put that outfall in after they got this site plan approved, and it barreled through half of some of the units, which is why they lost 18 units. So when they had to maneuver and redesign that portion of the site plan, it triggered the amendment to the site plan. What our planning director was talking about is when you do a conditional zoning approval, there are two things that is conditioned to: the site plan, and then there are mutually agreed upon conditions. There are thresholds of changes in our zoning that allow for minor amendments, but once you go above that threshold, it triggers a request for the reapproval of the site plan amendment to that. That's what we're here for now, but it's not because the developer just decided to redesign it. They lost units when that outfall came in. In addition, what she's talking about is when they went to DOT, because the DOT is a separate approval process because they're a state agency. One of the requirements is that DOT is requiring them to put in a deceleration lane, which is a turn lane. And so that is where, when you see the FAMPO comments about traffic, we coordinate with outside agencies so that everybody's aware that we are coordinating with them and giving them information. But they determine what type of what we call road diet is needed for a development based on the number of units and things of that nature. So when they went through that process of DOT did come back with requirements for a deceleration lane. Now, further down the road, and this hadn't been funded yet, but there are talks about a major widening of Garfield Road from here all the way to 295. That hasn't been funded yet. It's just in talks. And so we do think that that is part of the future plans to address traffic concerns in this area. Thank you.
I'd like to reply to that.
Okay.
So, am I correct in that the reason they aren't including the 18, or they're removing the 18 townhouses, is because of the abfall?
Yes, if you look on that site plan where it has a diagonal, there's two big patches where you don't see units. Those used to have units in them. Okay. And so you can't build over the deed.
So in other words, so if we would reject that, then they can't go back to the other plan.
They can still build as many, it would just.
Because if they couldn't build there because of the abfall, if we don't approve that, then how can they go back and
they would just not build those buildings. I mean, it doesn't kill the previously approved project.
And they'd still build less than what was approved on the last plan.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead.
this plan has actually already been approved. We're just making modifications to it. And it's gonna reduce the impact of traffic on the road net eventually at some point or another with the reduction of units, correct?
It will reduce the impact from the originally approved plan.
All right, thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you, Mayor. I did notice on the original site plan, there has a 0 lot line, so the 0 lot line is still not going to be on the new site plan?
The 0 lot line is supposed to be on this plan as well for the townhomes.
Because it's outlined on here, but it's not outlined on the new one. And if I'm correct, the original plan that was previously approved is no longer a plan that's active because of,
The only one that's active right now is the previously approved plan, which is,
which was that one, the one that shows a 0 lot line on the side.
I think, that's the current one. Sorry, I'm scrambling the slides a little bit. There we go.
So that's the previously approved plan that shows your 0 lot line, and the reason they came back with this site plan to change it is why again?
So this is the old site plan that they do not want to build anymore. And this is the one they want to build. And you're right, it's supposed to say 0 lot line on there, and I will make sure that is put back on there because they have to resubmit for development review. But this will result in 18 less townhomes, and they'll be disturbing less property because you can see the road design right here. Oh, wrong way. And you can see the road design for the apartments is much more spread out and going toward the rear of the property. So the result is going to be 14 plus acres of undeveloped natural property that wildlife, and it's going to be undisturbed.
And then the CZs are the CZs that are listed in the presentation, which is the buffer.
Correct.
And the, that's the only CZ? Oh, and the 6-foot fence from between where to where?
So they are required to do a 6-foot fence. Let me pull up the right plan. They're required to do the 6-foot fence along the neighborhood right here. And then they are required to do, a vegetative buffer here along town property line.
Thank you, Mayor.
Mr. Marley?
I'm good.
I have another question.
Okay.
We talked today about the road for the fire, for the emergency vehicles. Can you show us where that's going to be on the, you said something about a vegetative.
It's right here.
So that will be up towards the end of the greenway, right? At the end of
I
it?
guess end or midway, a little past midway. Let me see if I can pull up.
And you said it's going to be gravel and later it will be paved?
What is,
The secondary roadway is required to comply with the fire code. So anytime you go over 100 units, you're required to have a secondary entrance. And so
I got that. I just wanted to know where it was.
it's near where that gravel parking lot is that gives access. I think it comes across, if you look at that location, that is where Fairway is.
right here is where Fairway is
Yeah.
at. And the
So
parking
it's
lot
further
that's
down, but
towards
in
the
that
end
area.
is around
Yeah,
here.
so you said it was going to be gravel? Is that what it's?
That's my understanding is,
The requirements to meet the fire code is that it doesn't have to be paved, but it has to have a surface that at least is adequate enough to hold a fire truck. And so ultimately, when it's just for a secondary entrance, those are the improvements that are outlined in the fire code for that roadway to be in compliance.
Okay, so that'll go from the apartments or townhouse, or apartments clear across to the
yeah,
main
this
road.
is the line right
Okay.
here. And I was reminded today that it will be locked by a Knox box
Right.
at the entrance here, so people can't just drive back and forth on
Just
it.
for emergency vehicles.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Just so I understand, Emily, This proposed map does not have the 0 lot line on it,
Correct.
and it doesn't have the buffer on it either.
No, but the buffer is in the, no, in the minutes, and it will be in the approval letter that we do, the condition sheet. They do have a previous condition sheet with the same conditions in it. And like I said, they're gonna have to go through development review once this is completed to make sure that they meet the stormwater requirements, fire marshal's requirements, all of the different departments' requirements, which will include having the buffer on there, having the 0 lot line on there, and basically making sure all the civil plans are completely done.
That's the concern I have, is that we're asking the board to approve this site plan with those 2 items missing.
Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead.
I encourage every one of us that's sitting up here that have not been, go to the review board. Let me tell you something, they are brutal up in there. They do not allow anything that does not meet the town's requirements or take care of the town. We have approved the plan already. All we're doing is making the adjustment to reduce the units. And she have already said that there's conditions already put in place that they must follow. And they would not approve anything that has not been approved and does not protect us as a board and as a town.
What Commissioner Mitchell is talking about is our plan review team. You also should have a memo that is accompanied with all zoning cases where the recommendations are provided to you from the plan review team. This is just a site plan. When they prepare their full set of construction documents, that has to be submitted through the plan review team where they have to get their approvals at this point. What you're approving tonight is just the zoning of approval of the site plan. When they submit their entire full set of construction documents, one of the review points is the zoning department. And so that's where she's actually going to review the approval of the site plan for construction purposes with the condition sheet that does outline the approved conditions for the project. So I will assure you, it's not getting through plan review without any compliance
We'll
with anything.
also add that the buffering requirements is tied to the actual zoning of the property too.
As a refresher, what does phase 1 look like?
Phase 1 has been explained to me that they are going to do the apartments first, which is right here. And then phase 2 will be the townhomes, which is this section here. So they're gonna build the rear section first.
I just wanted to, as a refresher for this new board. Okay, anything else?
Motion to open the public hearing.
Second? Have a motion, have a second, all in favor? Public hearing is open. Is there anyone present that wants to oppose ZNG-002-26? Request for site plan revision from previously approved site plan.
I don't want to oppose that, I just got a few questions.
Come forward.
So this has already been approved, I understand that, went down to Cumberland County, it's already been approved.
Just state your name, Ron.
Oh, Ron Gasiniak. I know it's already been approved, I get all that, there's nothing gonna be done about that. I just find it weird or odd that we're building first and then we're gonna put in the infrastructure to get there. It's just a little odd to me. Anybody that's traveled Gulfview Road knows the traffic is horrendous. We're adding these homes. We only took away 18 homes. What's that, 36 cars? 36 vehicles possibly, 2 cars per home. It ain't reduced. That 36 cars doesn't make that much of a dent. I find that odd. But also the second part is a 6-foot privacy fence. Who is responsible for that in 5 years? Is it a wooden privacy fence? Are we going with a vinyl fence? What kind of fence are we going with here? Once it deteriorates, and who's responsible for repairing that? It's going to be an eyesore. Everybody understands it's got a privacy fence. So who's responsible for repairing that fence going forward?
I can speak to that if you need me to. The privacy fence, if you recall, and I'll say the word, Crampton Road. And so to address the concerns of the neighborhood across the street, the privacy fence, and if you recall, Mayor Pro Tem Hope knows this as well. When you do conditional zoning, all of the conditions have to be mutually agreed upon. So we approached the developers to see if they would be willing to put in a privacy fence, because there was always these rumors about the roadway being reopened. And so they agreed to put the privacy fence in. Now the zoning allows for any type of privacy fence. They allow for buffering, but a privacy fence is a little bit more secure. They can go with a 6-foot wood fence, or they can go with a wrought iron fence, but they would be responsible for the maintaining of that fence, because it's their fence on their private property. But the nexus or the idea for the privacy fence was to address concerns from the adjacent neighborhood, in terms of them at least getting some assurances that that roadway was not going to be reopened.
Well, that still leaves who's responsible for that in 5 years?
The developer will be responsible for it permanently, because it's on their property. It's their fence. They'll be responsible for the fence.
So the developer in 50 years is still going to be responsible for that fence?
Well, there's going to be the rental of the apartments, so.
So the rental agency will take care of that? Or, I mean, who's renting the apartments?
Whoever owns and maintains the apartments, and then the townhomes will have an HOA.
Oh, well, hell, I should have asked if it was a HOA first.
There you go, Ron.
All right, well, thank you.
HOA. All right, anybody else that wants to oppose ZNG or have any questions about ZNG 002-26? Request for site plan revision of previously approved site plan. Is there anyone here that supports ZNG-002-26? Request for site plan revision from previously approved site plans? Anyone here that's in support of ZNG 002-26? Request for site plan revision of previously approved site plans?
Motion to close.
Motion to close, have a second? All in favor? Seeing none opposed, public hearing is closed. Do I have an action?
Mayor, I'll make a motion that we approve the site plan revision for R5/CZ residential with conditional zoning, and find that this request is consistent with the Cumberland County Future Land Use Plan. It does complement the surrounding area nicely, as the subject area is surrounded by other residential developments, and this new version will result in less land being disturbed and less townhomes built. Approval of the site plan revision is reasonable and in the public interest, because the revised plans requested complement the character of existing nearby developments.
Have a motion, have a second. All in favor? All opposed? Motion will pass 4-1.
Thank you.
Okay. Item 5, public comments. We have any?
Oh, apologies. There are no comments. No one signed up.
No. All right. We'll go to item 6, consent agenda.
I'm sorry.
Items A, B, C, D, E, and F.
Motion to approve item A through F under consent.
Second? We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor? Seeing none opposed, consent agenda is approved with items A, B, C, D, E, and F. That is the end of the consent agenda. Item 7, old business, none. I like that, none. Then we get into item 8, new business. Consideration and approval of purchasing, travel, and credit card policies, tab 13. Drew, is it possible that we could look at each one of these individually and vote on them individually?
Sure.
Okay, that's kind of, because if we do any changes, like I put in the email to the board earlier today, if there are going to be any changes to this proposed policies, then they'll have to come back on the consent agenda in May 4th. So if we approve them without changes tonight, we're good. If there's going to be any changes, then we'll see the final version come back on May 4th. Everybody good? All right, Drew.
Okay, as you see, before you have the purchasing policy, the travel policy, and the credit card use policy. We've been working on these since we actually started the purchasing policy before last fall. We'd been working on updating it for some time. We did find out during the state audit process, when they asked for copies of our policies, with those copies, they asked us, when were these approved? They did not have an approval date on them. And we looked back through the town clerk records. We could not find where they had been officially approved, not having a date on them. I even called the previous finance director from more than 10 years ago and asked him, did he recall if we had ever gotten the policies formally approved? He said not while he was here, but he was using the same copies that I was using. So these pretty much document everything we've been doing anyways. They took the original policy, we have strengthened it, we have updated it, and it is here tonight for your approval, so we can have an actual formal approval of these three policies.
Thank you, Drew. I can say that the two terms, I was on the Board of Commissioners back in 17 up until I left off 21, we hadn't seen these policies either.
I mean, we had the policy.
We had the policies.
But looking for when they were ever formally approved, we don't have a date.
And Mayor, I'll add too, the departments that primarily deal with bidding and things of that nature would be Public Works, Stormwater, Parks and Rec. Lamarco, Beth, Don, Bruce, they're experts in procurement. We always follow state law, but we could not find a document that outlined an approved policy for the town. So a lot of this is house cleaning. There are no major issues, but we just knew that we need to move forward with having a full policy adopted that will materialize what the town is doing to comply with the state law. We always have, we just didn't have a documented outline.
Okay, let's start off with the purchasing policy and procedures manual. Is there any changes to this one? Okay, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mayor. On the purchasing summary page where it has the dollar amount, I'm sorry, on the purchasing summary page, where it
Right,
shows.
it'd be the third page.
Third page, thank you. 1, 2, 3, on the table, number 3, where it reads the $5,000 to $14,999. Where it has the purchase order required, 3 informal bids, state contract can be used in place of quotes, town manager approval required. Will that be something to also add to be able to bring back to the board so that we can know the 3 informal bids and the amount that was approved for said purchase?
Normally, when we get to this point, the town manager can approve contracts below $15,000. That's what this shows. We usually let the council know that, hey, we have done this contract so that we have that. I don't see why we can't show, I guess, the backup information, how we arrived at what we came to.
Okay, Commissioner Mitchell.
I was going to say, the 15, Drew, correct me if I'm wrong, but the 15,000, we made adjustment several years ago to allow the town manager to make the purchase because we had a couple situations that could not wait until the board met or for an emergency meeting. Am I correct?
That wasn't just for certain situations, that was just across the board.
Okay.
And it also matches the threshold of what he can approve for internal budget amendments.
Okay.
So we made those two numbers match.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, go ahead.
Okay, I had several questions today, or yesterday. Go to calling an emergency meeting, and I know there are two different, what you stated was there are two separate policies, and I understand that. If something happens, it's life or death, then we need to do that immediately. I understand that.
Right.
If it's not, then their emergency meeting can be called by the board. And that's okay, but why can't we add that even if there is an emergency and you do need to do this right away, I'm just asking that the mayor be notified of that case so that he understands that there is an emergency, what it involves, and what it's going to take to fix it.
Right. Normally in that situation, the mayor has already declared a state of emergency.
I'm
So
talking
that's
about
already happened. If he declares a state of emergency, like not necessarily him, but the mayor position, has been done in the past when we had some hurricanes in the past or some of the snow events that we've had, Once that's done, if there's an emergency purchase, the reason it's an emergency purchase is because, as I sent to you an email before, that there's not time to call a meeting. There's not time to get the proper approvals. It's an emergency.
And I understand.
So the department heads with this policy, and it's what we've been doing for the past 10 years since I've been here, they can get whatever they need in an emergency situation, and then we take care of the approvals and the notifications after the fact.
I understand all of that, but what I'm saying is, because you'll notify the town manager that you need an emergency purchase, why can't we go ahead and also notify the mayor?
You don't have to notify the town manager.
I'll add to this. Typically, the type of emergencies that would typically facilitate this type of discussion would be hurricane snow events. When we have our emergency meeting, the mayor is actually at that meeting, and when we're going around to each department head determining what does Public Works needs, what does the fire department need. When we get to Drew will ask all the departments what kind of purchases, emergency purchases that you need. The mayor is typically at that meeting, so it's not like we're not all having the conversation at the same time. So it's not like Drew has to notify me. I'm asking Drew in the meeting. He's telling all of us what the actual procurement needs may be in terms of the cards, gas, things of that nature. And so I understand the concern, but we're all in communication while we're having that. So I don't think there will be a need for me to send a separate email, and I could do that. I don't mind doing that at all.
That's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is, granted, everybody knows what's going on. Why can't it be included in the policy?
Because this is the purchasing policy, not an emergency meeting policy. Emergency meetings don't need to be referenced in the purchasing policy.
But it does have.
That's a separate event.
Commissioner Hamilton,
Yes.
before I sign, or before the mayor signs, the town state of emergency, I hear input from every department, to include the town manager, and everybody has their way in before I sign that document, because once I sign that, or the mayor signs that document, that takes care of the rest of this policy. And I think that former Mayor Jackie Warner's done the very same thing, is that before, and we come here, we go through the planning process, and we do not sign those documents without full input from every department of what they need.
And I understand. I was just wondering why, if it was possible, so everybody could be informed. If they're, it's okay. It's okay that if everybody is informed of what's going on, what we need, and how fast we need it. That's all I was concerned about.
Yeah, but in an emergency situation, I don't want to put it in the policy that this has to happen, and that holds up something emergency that we can't get it.
It wouldn't have to be exactly that day. I was just wondering if it could be added to the policy.
Mr. Mayor?
Go ahead.
I would not recommend that.
No, I don't recommend that.
It's up to y'all. You make the decisions, but I would not recommend that.
Mr. Mayor, I would not recommend it, because if you ever had to be involved in life and death situations where you have to react, you just don't have that luxury. It's just not there. And I would not risk one life, because we want to put a paragraph in there to create a hindrance that can cost us that. It's not worth it.
But it wouldn't have to be that exact minute is what I'm stating. I do understand emergencies.
Let's vote on it.
If it's life or death, I understand that.
Coming back. Okay.
I got that.
Done?
Yep.
Marley?
Man, I just got a comment and I want to make a motion, but I think this board's getting too far in the weeds. We have great policies here. If you read through them, I think we need to trust our manager, our department heads, and the mayor. So with that, I'm gonna make a motion that we approve the Finance Department Purchasing Policy and Procedures Manual.
I second that.
Okay, we got a discussion point, but I think Mayor Pro Tem had something she wanted added. So, let's see, go ahead.
Just that one, just to add the backup information.
What specifically are you looking for it to say?
Well, with the town manager, approval required, since the board will not have the information about the 3 quotes, that if backup information can just be added when it's presented, because I'm imagining it's going to have to come to the board eventually.
So if I put something here, town manager approval required and board notification, would that satisfy that?
Mayor Pro Tem, let me ask a question. Are you asking for, and I don't have a problem doing what I think you're asking for, if we're telling you that anything below 14,999, there's no notification, I think I hear what you're asking is, can we just provide an update on any contract that I signed off on that was below that threshold that would not have come to the board? What I would suggest is just put something in there for notifications, and periodically I can provide a report that basically outlines projects that we've done.
Yeah, I'll just put,
Town manager.
like
will
a
keep the board
parentheses or
apprised
something,
of
it's
any
like,
circumstances.
You got it.
town manager will notify board
There you go.
at,
Just an informational piece.
yeah.
Exactly. And then one more thing, at letter B, where it says 3 quotes are not necessary when using vendors on state contract or purchasing programs used by the town of Hope Mills.
Now,
What
I
are you
would
looking at?
caution, this is every contract
What are you
below
looking at?
You wanna
15,000.
set a threshold amount, because you're thinking 5,000, but that means everything from, $5.
Contracts with Zumba instructors. I mean, you're talking every single contract. So
Bid out, no, we don't want to do that. That would
To the single
really,
source,
Yep.
you know, single source.
I mean,
source.
you can ask Lamarco how it goes with, program instructors, to have to bid that out. We would lose a lot of instructors.
Yes, we will.
Okay, thank you, that
will-
was it.
I will
All right,
note that
main
all of this
thing-
would be included in like a
Yeah.
annual financial report as well, so that
Okay,
all
that'd be a good
all of
idea.
the expenditures would be sort of documented in some way.
We have a motion, we have a second. Before I call for the vote, I want to make sure that we're all in agreement that the manager can initiate and sign contracts below 15,000.
Amen.
Okay? I want to make that clear on the record. All in favor? Seeing none opposed, purchasing goes forward.
Thank you.
Next one is the travel.
And just to let you know, for all these, it's currently what we're doing at this point. We're just making sure it's documented, and now it will show an approval, a date of formal approval.
I do want to echo what our finance director is saying. We're not doing anything new. We're just materializing what we're already doing in an official capacity.
Yep. All right. Any,
Mayor, make a motion that we approve the finance department business travel policy.
I second that.
we have a motion, we have a second. We have any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Seeing none opposed? Business travel policies approved. The last one, credit card use policy and procedures. Board have any questions? Okay, Commissioner Hamilton?
Okay. I quoted the general statute on bonding, and the general statute says that each officer, employee, or agent of a local government or public authority who handles or has in his custody more than $100 of the units or public authority funds at any time, or who handles or has access to the inventories of the unit of public authority shall, before being entitled to assume his duties, give faithful and performance bond with sufficient sureties payable to the local government or public authority. So the general statute is saying that every person that has a credit card has to be bonded. That's what it's saying.
The finance director is bonded by the town. The tax administrator for the county is bonded by the town. Those are the only two positions that are required to be bonded by the state. So there's nothing that says anybody and all staff have to be bonded. I see what you're reading there. I might need some help, Dan.
That's right.
So, sure, so 159-29B is the provision I think you're referring to, and it
5929.
159-29B, right. And it says each officer, employer, or agent who handles or has in his custody more than $100. So if they are, regularly having $100 or more in cash or, authority to spend it, I guess, or who handles or has access to the inventories of the unit, I suppose, there's,
It says or.
right, handles or has access. The other option, of course, is under C, you can have a blanket faithful performance bonding instead of bonding everyone individually. That would be the way
That's what we do.
square that circle. So if we have a blanket faithful performance bonding, then I don't think we're subject to the requirement that each person be bonded under Section B.
I didn't know we had a blanket performance bonding?
That's what having the finance director bonded is.
Okay.
So it's all covered under me, or my position.
Okay, but then you mentioned, or it's mentioned in here that the department heads can delegate someone else to obtain a credit card. So are we gonna be specific about that? Can it be just anybody? Would it be an assistant director? I don't know.
Here's the only time that credit cards are supposed to be used and according to this policy.
Okay,
If one of my staff is going to take a class in Chapel Hill, I'll give them the finance credit card to take with them, so the expenses of that particular class
right.
are on that card. So I'm designated to get to that employee while they're at their conference. When they come back, they give it back to me, they check out the card, they come back, they give it back, they give me the receipts with it, and it's all good. So the department head has the responsibility of what happens with that card and who gets it. Finance has the responsibility that every month they get us the receipts, everything's approved, signed off on, and coded. And if it's not, then we can go back on that department head whose responsibility is that card, and either take it from them if they're not following policy, or say, you know, here's a warning if you want to keep using your card.
Okay. It's just the way it's written, I think. It says other additional employees may be provided town credit cards at the discretion of the finance director.
Right. I have that discretion,
Okay. All right.
or my position has that discretion.
Okay,
You got more?
are the receipts, we talked about the receipts, is that that's not in the credit card, is it? I didn't put,
Right, each department head, or each department is responsible for keeping their receipts that go with what's been charged on that card. So every
Okay.
month, they have a summary sheet that they put with describing what that expense was for, how it's town related, what it's coding to. The department head signs off on it, they give that to finance, we verify it, we make sure everything's there. It does say that they need to keep those receipts in a secure place.
it says safe
But-
place.
A safe place, a secure, safe place. It doesn't specify that they have to have a vault or a safe, just something where they can have it secure. Every department's different.
Okay, and the reason I said that is because in case that person isn't here that handles the receipts, then someone else would know, hey, they're in the safe, they're somewhere where it's locked up. a locked
Usually that
cabinet.
department head has a deputy or an admin person that knows how to track those sorts of things and can
It
do that.
knows exactly where
anyways.
everything is at.
I would hope so. If the department head's out, they should have a backup that's able to do that process for them.
All right, and again, I was concerned that in case someone wanted to do a public records request or an audit or something, they would know where to get those receipts. They wouldn't be just,
If it hasn't been processed yet, it's not a public document.
Well,
So that would they'd have to go through the finance department or the town clerk to get that
we're
information.
not talking about whether it's been processed. We're talking about when they actually have the receipt.
Well, then that department doesn't have it anymore. It's in finance,
Okay,
so we would supply that information.
okay.
They don't keep it in their department once it's,
So is it scanned in somewhere where you have it as well?
we
or is-
have it scannable as well.
So there's other ways to get the receipt then? Okay, thank you.
Is that all of them? Okay, I'm gonna move on to the Mayor Pro Tem. That's the reason I'm asking. Okay, Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you, Mayor. Just on page 2, where it says, anyone violating the credit card use policy shall be personally liable for the amount charged and future use. Instead of may, can you change that to will be disallowed? Shall be disallowed. There you go. That's it.
Well, the only thing with that is if it's shown that they didn't, or it wasn't as it appeared, where specifically are you looking
They
at
want
that?
some discretion there, just to,
Right.
Well, then maybe.
you can lose it, but it, if there are circumstances such that there's an oversight or something like that, then.
Right, but in that instance, if it is an oversight and they were not responsible for what transpired, then that would be the allowed to be able to continue to use it. But if it is found that they did violate the credit card policy, then I think the wording should be, shall be.
Which specific line are you looking at?
Yeah, which one?
Well, for unauthorized use of credit card on page 2,
And the one above
the one above that sentence above
Oh,
that.
there.
It's got the word shall.
Yes, that's on the shell is on there. Which one are you looking at?
Let me, anyone violating the credit card use policy shall be personally liable for the amount charged, and future use may be disallowed. So instead of the word may, if it is found that they have violated the policy, can you change that word?
I think it leaves it open for discretion.
Yes.
Just in case it's not something that needs to be reimbursed. I still don't see where you're reading that from.
It's the first one is shall and the second one is may. They shall repay it. They may lose their
They
right to
may
use it in the
be,
future.
right, for
And
future use.
I think you may want to have some level of discretion in there so that you're not hamstrung.
Yep.
If there's an issue and that person needs a credit card, or, at least it should, the town manager would have the discretion to say.
I was going to say that if the shall part is that they shall be responsible for reimbursement, the may part could be done through a disciplinary action in terms of something that I could do to make sure they're held accountable for violating that. I think the other piece allows for the discretion where I don't have to take their card, but I can actually document that they actually did something to violate the policy, and I could come up with some remediation efforts.
As you said, the
violation
may
could be as simple as
references
you lost your
future use
McDonald's
of the card.
I mean, I'm just thinking about it in the whole aspect. If someone has violated a policy, why would they still be allowed to use a credit card if it's
In the
proven
situation
that
that I
they
used
violated
as an
the
example
policy?
before, if they're at a conference or a class, we're not going to send cash with them.
That's
get
not
a
a
hotel
violation
room.
of the policy, though. I mean, this is
It's
specifically
very
talking to
difficult
a violation of
to
policy.
get a hotel room outside of a credit card.
And,
In other words, that person may need to use a credit card in
Right.
that situation, so.
and Mr. Mayor, and sometimes violations have been in error because the individual did it out of ignorance. And in that sense, like you just said, suppose that individual might have made that violation that we perceive, but that same individual has credentials that requires them to go to training or school. They will need that credit card to attend that school to pay for that. So that possibility exists, but if you tie our hands, we have to jump through the hoops to make things happen with that.
I'm tracking that, but I'm just asking, can wording be added in the event that it was an accident? But I'm tracking what everybody is saying.
I think it's already sort of written in there as discretionary. So if there is a violation that is serious enough that is a willful violation of the policy, that discretion's already there with the town manager to say you've lost your use of the town credit card. But it could be as inadvertent as you charged a meal and you didn't keep the receipt, and you had to repay back that meal. But that might necessarily rise to the level of you're never allowed to use the town credit card again. There should be some level of discretion, I think, in the town manager's, operation of the town.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the credit card policy?
I second that.
We have a motion, we have a second. No more discussion. All in favor? Seeing none opposed. Now, for clarification, this is mainly for Ashley. So we have approved 3 of the town policies. Did we approve purchasing with any changes? I don't think, Ashley, I want to make sure, because did we approve with any changes? The answer is no.
Mayor, I believe that last vote was 4-1. I think Mayor Pro Tem voted no. So I just wanted to clarify that.
No changes on purchasing. So we're not going to see it come back 2 weeks from now on consent agenda. No
So-
changes on travel.
No changes on travel. I don't
And
have
no
any
changes on
any-
credit card.
Yeah.
Okay, so all 3 are good. We won't see them again. Thank you very much, Drew.
All right, you're welcome.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay. Want to make sure, Ashley, I had to do that to make sure that you had it down for the agenda on the 4th. Next item is item B. Moving right on. Consideration and approval of Partiv Funding Resolution R 2026-006 under tab 4. I think Lamarco's got this one, and I have to read the resolution when you guys approve it.
I'll let
Go ahead,
you read
Lamarco.
it. Do you want to read it first, or? Okay.
Tab 14. Tab 14. Before I read it, does anybody have any questions about it? About this? Yes. I do. Okay, let's get the questions out of the way before I read it.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Is this going to be a part of grant, or is this, I see we got $11,772 from the Cumberland County Community Foundation. The entire grant is for $21,772. So, did we mention something about a part of grant for this one?
So the Part F grant in relation to, Commissioner Hamilton is referring to the Sensory Garden grant. The total grant is around $21,000. Typically what happens is, with those types of grants, they give you half up front, and then at the completion of the project, you turn a report and you get the second half of the grant. The piece that we have a Part F grant for is for an element that we have to do anyway. We have to do ADA accessible sidewalks in phase 2 of the Heritage Park project. And so the Part F piece of that is just access. It's actually the circular sidewalk at the lawn area. The Sensory Garden is going to be on that side, and so that sidewalk is a portion of the project that the town is going to have to fund anyways. As you all know, the town is responsible for $684,000 of matching funds, and so that particular ADA sidewalk would have always been part of our responsibility. This second Part F grant that the resolution is for is to kind of close that gap a little bit and get additional funding, and that recommendation came from our state research, Park Research consultant with NC State, recommending that we apply for a second round of Part F funding to actually fund a portion of our match. So to answer your question, the Sensory Garden is totally funded. It's the ADA access to the park that was not part of the Sensory Garden grant.
Well, as we discussed, my concern is going to be the one-to-one match or the part of grant.
It's always been a one-to-one match.
I know it has, but is that going to happen? We talked about the lake park and a part of grant for that, and this is a different. It's different than the Heritage Park. I understand that, but when I asked you if we didn't get enough grants to fund, then would the work stop? And you said yes.
That's for Lake Park. So those are two separate things.
I know that, but that still apply with the Heritage Park. It's still a part of a grant, is what I'm asking.
Yeah, it's still a Part F grant. And so to clear everything up with everybody, the second round of Part F grants is a one-to-one match. But to simplify for everybody, we are matching grant funding with grant funding. So our one-to-one match for this particular grant would actually be a portion of the original grant, which is $500,000. There's also a LWCF grant that we've applied for, and we'll find out whether we got that in September. Essentially what we've done, and other municipalities have done it, we've matched grant funding with grant funding for our match. So that's essentially what we're trying to do here. We're trying to close the gap as far as what the town is responsible for. And so just to give you an idea, if this grant was approved, then we've actually gone from $684,000 to $550,000 of our responsibility of what we have to match. Now, as far as taxes or how we fund it, that's not my decision. I know that we signed an agreement that said we would match the funds within 3 years. How you all get there, that's totally up to the board. I don't make those decisions. But it has to be funded. We've committed to funding it, and I don't know whether you split that up in 3 years or how you get there, but I just know that we're responsible for the match within 3 years.
Okay.
Thank you, Marco. I would like to remind the board that at our March retreat, all of these items were presented, and the consensus was approval. At our March retreat. Now, with that also said, we just packaged up these projects, and these are the ones that will be considered at our legislative delegation, which they're going back into session tomorrow to look at funding of every one of these projects. So it's our skin in the game that we've been working on to get us to this point.
I understand that, and I understand what Marco said before, that they're looking at different grants to fund the whole thing, and I get all of that. But when I did ask the question about whether or not, if we didn't get all of the grants that we needed, would the work stop, I was told yes.
What
that's
I
all.
like.
Oh, well, I give you an
Lamarco.
example.
That's that was my question.
That's where you're hung up.
One thing I like to clarify.
Hung up. It's just that I don't understand. I mean, I understand what you said, it was approved, and it was, but it's the one-to-one match that I'm not.
One thing I want to clarify is that the entire message that we have conveyed with the MAS program with the League of Municipalities is not to 100% fund projects. It is to reduce our reliance on the general fund. The success is that this is a $1.2 million project. We're trying to shave down to $200,000. And there's a one word that I think we all need to make sure we're utilizing, and it's the word investment. DOT has 4 major roadway projects going on in Hope Mills right now. You have developers building residential, commercial, retail, industrial. We have to ensure that what we're saying to the legislators, because part of my presentation to the legislators outlined what we're doing to contribute to the investment of our town. I do think that our Parks and Rec department should be commended by shaving off so much of those construction costs. Is it possible to completely eliminate those? If we can do that, that's great. But I want to caution setting a narrative that if we don't have a project fully funded, we're going to stop the project, because the majority of the grants that you apply for are going to require matches. Now, with our MAS program, Ingrid is so amazing that she's found some ways around that, but the majority of the grants you're going to apply for are going to require some type of match. FAMPO, the project I talked about, the manager's report, that was a sidewalk grant. It has matching funds. And so I want to make sure we're not, I just want to make sure we're clear that the goal is not to fully fund projects or create a scenario where the projects have to stop if they're not fully funded. I think the win is to reduce the level of the general fund that we have to tap into too. And we're talking every project, because we're talking about our community investment plan, our CIP. We're talking about projects that were top and secondary priorities by the board. If we're going to produce these projects, I think the win is to see how significantly we can reduce the amount that comes out of the general fund. The ability to eliminate that is going to be very challenging, but to me, that shouldn't stop the project.
Well, and to answer your question about stopping the project,
Can
I will
say
tell you the
something
late.
before you do that? First of all, to answer the town manager, I wasn't criticizing Parks and Recreation at all. At all. I know you're working hard to get the grants that we need to fund this. I understand that. I'm just going on what the discussion that we had when the contractors were here. And I asked if it would stop, and you said yes, until we had enough revenue to continue. And that was our discussion.
Right.
That's what I'm getting at. I'm not criticizing you at all.
And we've kept that. For instance, Lake Park, we've stopped that project past the master plan because funding has not been identified.
And these
You
are
all
just
would notice
questions
I
I'm
haven't even
asking.
started the construction documents phase for Heritage Park Phase 2 because funding has not been put in place. And, you know, correct me if I'm wrong, financial services people, but when you pre-audit a contract, it says the money is there. Thus far, and it's estimated based on the dollar amount, engineering is going to run you about $165,000 for construction documents. I don't have that $165,000 in place yet, so I have not started Phase 2 of Heritage Park Phase 2. I will say that 3 years is not a long time, and so
It's not.
that
And
is getting narrow. And so, but if we don't put the funding in place, I can't get the plan started. But
Understand.
we have not started yet because the money's not there.
I'm just trying to understand where we're at and the discussion we had and how we go about doing what we need to do. And in no way am I criticizing you or anything that Parks and Recreation has done. I know it's an investment, and all of that. I'm just trying to figure out exactly how this is gonna work.
Right, so I typically, I would not start a phase of a project, and I've probably gotten on Drew's nerves over the years, saying where's the money at, but I refuse to start a phase of the project if the funding's not in place.
Okay.
So there's no money for construction documents yet, and I haven't started that phase of the project just yet. I will not start construction on the project if the money has not been, or if the fund has not been set up for construction, so.
Mr. Mayor, maybe it's that.
Thank you.
Didn't we have the same trouble with, when we started Reeves Park, we had to do matching funds for a while, and that project sat there in dormant state for a long time.
10 years.
Until we got matching funds. We couldn't do anything because that was the condition of the grant funding that we got.
I think that was a 10-year delay, because we had to.
10-year, and
It was
I
10
will.
years, every bit of it.
And I will say, without investment, not saying that we'll do this with Lake Park, but the question was raised about why we redoing the master plan. Well, that master plan was probably, 15 years, the original? And so it sat, and things changed, conditions changed. We didn't invest in the project, and so essentially it's set for about 10 years. And so, I mean, that's what could happen if you start a plan and don't at least try to find ways to begin to, to move some dirt or something.
And I do remember when you said you keep on applying for grants, and I got all that. It was just the extra on here that I saw that kind of concerned me, so. And according to what I was reading, it was gonna be definitely a one-to-one match. That's why I asked you those questions. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Yep, Commissioner Tremmel.
Just to clarify for me, what I heard you say, the 133,000 that we're looking at, that's our one-on-one match on this, that we're asking for, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
We have 3 years to budget that out if
Right.
we get the part of grant. So it's up to the board to figure out how to budget that out, right?
And
That's what we're
I'll say it
saying.
again, that 133 is actually encompassing that $684,000.
Right,
And
right.
so, just so you all know, so portions of the grant you don't get points for. You don't get points for sidewalks. You don't get points for outdoor classrooms. You don't get points for renovating the pump house. That being said, that's part of the overall master plan, and we have to do it because that was part of the master plan that we submitted to Partef. So, all of these elements that we're trying to apply for a grant for now, is to help us, we're trying to help the town meet its obligation of the $684,000 with grant funding, so.
Thank you.
Good? Okay. I'm gonna hold this up. This is our priorities for our legislative delegation that will go into session tomorrow. And let's hope that they come through with these priorities, and they're very small, but Heritage Park, Lake Park is on here, and a couple more. Let's hope that they can fund at least one, two, or maybe all of them. Let's hope, because we packaged it up well, but like Lamarco said, grants are funding grants, and when you look at just coming up with less than $200,000 for a $1.2 million project, that's a win. That is a huge win of investment for our community of quality of life. And we've got a great team that's doing it, and we've packaged this up the right way. But I just wanted to highlight that. Do I have a motion?
May I make a motion that we approve Resolution R 2026-006?
I second that.
Motion, second, all in favor? Are you opposed? Oh, okay. Seeing none opposed, motion carries. I will read the resolution. Community Project Funding Request 2026 Partef Grant, Resolution R 2026-006. Whereas the North Carolina Parks and Recreation Trust Fund, Partef, provides matching grant funds to local governments for the development, improvement, and acquisition of public park and recreation facilities. And whereas the town of Hope Mills desires to continue enhancing its park system in order to improve recreational opportunities, promote public health, and support the overall quality of life for its residents. And whereas the town of Hope Mills is pursuing additional funding for the Heritage Park Phase 2 project due to budget shortfalls and the rising cost of construction materials, and whereas the town of Hope Mills proposes to undertake Heritage Park Phase 2 and intends to submit an application to the PARTIV program for funding assistance for said project, and whereas the PARTIV program requires a dollar-for-dollar, one-to-one, non-state match for all grant funds awarded, and whereas the Board of Commissioners of the Town of Hope Mills hereby commits $133,807 in cash matching funds to meet the required non-state match for this project, and whereas the Town of Hope Mills agrees to retain ownership of the project property and to ensure the long-term operation, maintenance, and public accessibility of the facilities improved or constructed with PARTIV funds. Now, therefore, the Town of Hope Mills resolves the Board of Commissioners commit to providing the required one-to-one match for the PARTIV grant of $133,807 and a total project cost of $267,614. The Board of Commissioners hereby support the submission of a 2026 PARTIV grant application for Heritage Park Phase 2. The Board of Commissioners agrees to comply with all the requirements of the PARTIV program and to cooperate fully in the planning, development, and completion of the project. The Board of Commissioners agrees that this resolution shall be effective for the duration of the grant application process and if funds are awarded through the completion of the project. Adopted this 20th day of April 2026.
Thank you, sir.
I just wanted to say, I don't want to see any project take 10 years like Reed's Journey did. Any project that we start shouldn't wait 10 years. And that's always been an issue, but I just wanted to say that. Moving on. Item C, consideration and approval of CCF grant budget amendment number 26 in the amount of $11,775 under tab 15.
Mayor, I make a motion we approve budget amendment number 26 for $11,775.
Second? Second. Have a motion, have a second. Any further discussion on this one? Okay.
This is just a clarity question. We did receive those grant funds, and you're just asking the budget amendment to add it to
This,
the
we
project.
have received the $11,772. We've got another $10,000 that'll come at a later date, and there'll be a budget amendment for that when it comes.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Do I have a motion? Oh, we already have it. Okay, sorry. And a second? Get caught up in the discussion. All in favor? See none opposed, motion carries. Last one, I think.
And my last item of business for the town, maybe.
No, not yet. Well, yeah, it is. It will be. This one will be.
My last regular board meeting.
Because it's item D, and the last one is a change order.
No, we got one more budget amendment. D.
Yeah, I know. I said the last one is a change order. But before we get there, D is consideration and approval of trash truck budget amendment number 27 in the amount of $237,625. No, $237,625 under tab 16.
Mayor, and I'll make a motion we approve that budget amendment number 27 for $237,625.
Motion second, all in favor? Nope, we got some discussion, all right. Go ahead, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mayor. Based on the memo, this says that this was funds allocated from 2024, so these funds are set aside and not affecting the current budget?
Right, what happens is, this was the trash truck it took them like 1.5 years to build it. So we ordered it in last budget. They did not finish it by the time that budget year was over. So those funds went into the reserve funds for stormwater. We have to reallocate the funds into this year's budget. That's when we paid for it. So it's pretty much taking last year's budget, putting it into this year's budget, because that's when the truck was finished and that's when we paid for it.
Okay, so those are funds that were moved out and then set aside, and they're just bringing them back in?
Yep.
Correct. Okay, thank you. That was it.
Okay. That was it? All right, y'all slowed me up. Okay, now, you have a motion? We have a second? Any other discussion? All in favor? There we go. Seeing nobody opposed, motion carries.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you, Drew. Wait a minute, Drew, you got one more thing before you finish. You still got April 30th. No, not tonight. You still got one more to go. A big one. All right, next item, which is E. Item E, authorizing the town manager to sign change order number 1 in the amount of $164,658.26 for the Woodland Hills change order. That's under tab 17. Don?
Okay, this is the final housekeeping for this project. Project's actually completed. The board approved a open-ended change order in June of last year because we had driveways cut and the roadway was open in the Woodland Hills area. So we had to go back and make a lot of changes to both the piping, the inlets and stuff like that, and then we added an extra 550 linear feet of roadway as well. When we're talking about money, one thing that I want to help you all understand is that Grilly and Brian and Mary, you may have been on the board as well when I started working getting money for this project. It's been about 6 years in the making. With engineering, this project is about $1,775,000. Other people's money, with the exception of, with this change order, we're shy almost $22,000. So if we're talking match, it's almost a 99-to-1 match. So we're investing $22,000 to repair something that needed to be done in the neighborhood, and even better yet, we budgeted repairs under our POW bill funding for this. So none of this is coming out of the general fund either. It's coming strictly out of POW bill for road repairs.
Mayor,
Questions? Commissioner Marley?
if there's no questions, I'll make a motion. We authorize the town manager to sign change order number 1 for $164,658.26.
Any discussion? Everybody good?
Thank
Mayor
you.
Pro Tem?
Thank you for explaining that for the board that wasn't here. And I appreciate where you said the funds are coming from, because it's not mentioned in the memo, because my question was, where's the funds coming from? So I appreciate you for that. Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I don't know if you saw my questions, I guess you did. I didn't have anything to compare the change order with, and that's what I was looking for. But now that you've explained it, it's fine. I understand what you're talking about. I'm just not a big fan of anything that's open-ended. I'm just not.
Typically, we don't, but because it was affecting the whole neighborhood and we literally had the streets torn apart and their driveways ripped up and folks didn't have access to their homes, we felt that was the best way to do it.
I agree. Okay, thank you, Don.
Yes, ma'am.
All in favor? Seeing none opposed, motion carries. Thank you, Don.
Thank you.
Next action?
Motion to conduct a closed session pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 143-31811A3 to consult with the attorney on matters within the attorney-client privilege, as well as A6 to discuss personnel matters.
Have a second? All in favor? Seeing none opposed, we'll be back when we can.
Move to seal the minutes of the closed session until such time as the release of the information would no longer frustrate the purpose of the closed session and further no action was taken.
Have a motion? Second? All in favor? Seeing none opposed, have a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, we're done. We're back May 4th. No, we're back April 3rd.